What's good, everybody? This episode of the podcast is sponsored by DistroKid. They are the go-to for digital music distribution and the easiest way for musicians to get their music onto Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, TikTok, YouTube, and more. They offer unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their earnings, getting your music onto platforms and into stores 10 to 20 times faster than any other distributor. They help with cover song clearance, automatic splits, and they offer all kinds of tools and templates to help you get the most visibility for your releases. I dig this company and appreciate their business model that offers more features and tools than any other distributor while doing it at the most affordable price for solo artists, bands, DJs, studio artists, and any other creators that are making music or producing music in their home, and they offer label services as well. They've got 3 different tiers that they offer to creators that start as low as $22.99 a year. That's just $1.92 a month. And even their top tier is only $7.50 per month. And the best part about DistroKid sponsoring the podcast is they are offering Dan Cable Presents listeners 30% off their first year of service with DistroKid, making their affordable prices even cheaper for you. I will put that discount link in the episode notes. It will also be in my Instagram bio. Big shout out to DistroKid for sponsoring this podcast for more than 3 years now. Much appreciated. Now let's get into the episode.
Look down at the
What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dan Cable Presents podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the program once again. This is your first time listening. Thanks for checking out the show. You can find fresh episodes coming at you on Tuesdays. And if you want to help support this thing in a free way, you can do so by clicking subscribe on iTunes, clicking write a review, giving the podcast 5 stars if you feel like it is deserving of so. And that will help propel this thing into the tops of those iTunes charts, giving it more visibility on the national and international levels, helping strangers find the podcast. Just a great way to contribute to the growth and sustainability of this thing. Appreciate the hell out of all the folks that have already taken the time to do so. If you're not listening on Apple, just hit like, follow, subscribe wherever you are listening from. If you're watching on YouTube, you can click subscribe there. Tell a friend about the podcast if you've been enjoying it. And yeah, as always, appreciate everybody tuning in to the thing. I am so goddamn excited about this week's episode of the podcast, episode 452 with Noah Bernstein, who is not only a killer Portland-based saxophone player and composer, but also the co-owner of one of my favorite Portland establishments, Bernstein Bagels. I finally got him on the mics, and this was just such a rad hang with Noah. Definitely a highlight chat for me. Just loved hearing him tell stories about his early time playing music and his time at Oberlin College in Ohio studying saxophone and touring with various bands in his early days of Portland back in 2007. This dude is a Portland legend, not only for his musicianship and the time that he put into building community in the Portland jazz scene when he first got here, but also for owning Bernstein Bagels, a flagship of the Pacific Northwest bagel game. And I'm just a huge fan all the way around of this dude. And I drop into Bernstein Bagels usually at least once a week, if not more. I'm honestly wrapping up putting together this episode, and it feels like I gotta go over there right after I finish recording this to go get a bagel to celebrate. But it was just an absolute pleasure to really get to spend some time one-on-one with him and to be able to have this in-depth conversation outside of our small chats at the bagel shop. Bernstein Bagels is just like one of those places that I just can't wait to go to when I get home from a tour. There's a handful of those places that I think about when I get home from a long stint on the road, especially breakfast spots. There's a few in my go-to rotation, and Bernstein Bagels is most definitely high up on that list. And I am grateful to have my podcast studio in the neighborhood of Bernstein Bagels, and the ease of being able to cruise over there, whether it's a walk or a drive. It's too easy. It is too easy, and yeah, I'm hyped. I had so much fun just even putting together this episode, and I want to get into it as soon as possible. I don't want to ramble too much up top because this is definitely a longer chat. We really went in, and it was easy to lose track of time with this dude. This conversation is a pretty equal split of talking to Noah about his time as a dedicated musician and now as a dedicated business owner and operator. So I'd encourage you to check out the whole thing, undoubtedly, so you can get the full scope of who this dude is, and what makes him tick musically and in the bagel world. But if you just came here because you know of Noah Bernstein because of Bernstein Bagels, you could probably, I'll put the time marker in the notes, but it's probably about an hour 10 in before we get into the bagel talk and how he became a co-owner in a bagel shop. And you can move along to that mark if you want. Like I said, I would stay. I would check out the whole thing. It was just such a good chat, but just a blast. Just a lot of laughs and smiles while talking to this dude, and I'm just real inspired by people that try something new, and they kind of fall in love with it, and it completely alters their path in a positive way, and it seemed to be kind of the case with Noah discovering his love for making bagels, and it was just great to do the deep dive on his music as well, especially the Grammys record that is a duo that he has with his buddy Dan Sutherland. And their most recent record is called Best New Music. It came out in 2022. It's an incredible record. I've had it on repeat this past week. Noah brought me a vinyl when we recorded this last week, and I've listened to that at least a couple times just on vinyl. You can grab a copy of it on Bandcamp, or you can check it out wherever you stream music, and we will feature a couple tracks from that record in this episode, as well as some music from his Noah Bernstein 6th record, which is a little bit more traditional jazz, bigger ensemble, that came out back in 2012, I believe. But can't say enough good things about Noah Bernstein and his music and Bernstein Bagels. So, I mean, this whole episode is a lot of me just gushing on this dude. So, yeah, we should just go ahead and get into it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the pod, usually I'm talking to musicians, or this past year has had me diving into some other restaurant owners, such as Vin Pacone, who was mentioned in this episode, who has Pacone's Quality Deli, and I also had Mel from over at Sandwich, one of my favorite sandwich shops in the city. So you can check out those episodes, and yeah, plenty more with musicians. Recent jazz musicians would be like Noah Simpson, Mike Gamble is on the cast. Just had May Sun, Haley Naysanger was on the show. So tons of episodes to check out if you are new to this thing. But this is episode 452 with Noah Bernstein, and we are kicking off the episode with a track from the Noah Bernstein 6th record. And like I said, this is like a little bit bigger of an ensemble, and this record kind of shows his appreciation for that the 50s, 60s, 70s jazz that he talks about, like Mingus big band stuff. And yeah, those are definitely things we talk about in this chat. But this track is called Jubilee. All the links for everything in the episode notes. This is one of my favorites off that record. Now let's do the damn thing. So hyped.
We're already a step ahead. That's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling great.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
We're cool to jump into it?
Let's get on with it.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am so excited that you are here and on the mics with me. I feel like I've been wanting to have this happen for a pretty long time. Like I shout out to Chris Frank, mutual friend,
Hell yeah,
musician in the
Chris?
Portland music scene, and a champion of Bernstein Bagels.
He was a day oneer for sure. He was on it.
Yeah, he's the person that put it on the map for me, because I didn't really know about what you were doing before the brick and mortar happened, when you were just delivering bagels to people.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
But then I moved in here like a year and a half ago, like I was telling you, and now you're just in my neighborhood. So like I go there,
Just right across the street.
I go there enough that some people that work there know my name aside from you. Maybe a few
I think
people too many know my
I
name.
think most of us at this point, for sure.
And I'm happy about that. I
It's
think
either Dan or Tuna Boy.
it's
yeah.
a good problem to have. But yeah, Chris Frank put me on to what you were doing, and yeah, I love the music that you make, but I'm also very stoked to like talk to you about bagels, and what's happening at Bernstein Bagels.
Sweet. Down to talk about either or both. Yeah, all of it.
Starting with, is it Bernstein or is it Bernstein?
Oh,
Is this like, how do you
this
say
is
it?
good.
How do you-
Bernstein.
Bernstein.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Bernstein.
I have no adjustment on my end then.
But yeah, no, I mean, no, it's been my whole life though. People being like, oh, like the Bears, and I'm like, no, man, like it's Bernstein. Which, yeah, now it's like you realize that it was actually Bernstein the whole time, that really fucked me up because I didn't even know that. But yeah. But no, there have been people who are like, oh, were you named after the Bears? And I was like, it's my last name. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And like, no, it's different. Like,
It's like someone with the last name Johnson. Like,
yeah.
Are you named after the pharmaceutical company?
Yeah.
Like, no, man.
But yeah, it's either that or like the Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that a lot. Is it like Bernstein? Is it? Yeah. But
Well, my goal, I guess, with this conversation is to just, hopefully do a solid mix of music and bagels, and provide the full scope. So just to start things off, tell me about growing up in rural Vermont and like your early music discovery there.
Yes. Yeah. Rural Vermont, man. Yeah. I'm from a town called Charlotte, which is like south of Burlington, the big city in Vermont. It's like 2,500 people live there. There's one stoplight. Like, It's fucking tiny. My folks were sort of like the back to the land hippie types. So, we had a house deep in the woods. They cleared out a little woods and just like built this crazy house on it. So yeah, as you'd expect, and not a lot of like you're not on like the cutting edge of, the pop music scene or like what's coming out immediately in Vermont. It's always a little behind the times. I felt like I was very behind the times. I have 3 older brothers, so I feel like they were getting me onto stuff earlier than I would have necessarily discovered stuff. But yeah, it was a lot of pop radio when I was growing up. 95 Triple X, what's up? Strawberries Music Store, Pure Pop. A lot of the CDs coming from there.
Any instruments in the house growing up?
A lot of instruments in the house. Yeah. One of my brothers, my whole family plays. One of my brothers plays saxophone, actually. So there was a saxophone growing up.
Okay.
Which was very hip, very cool.
Was he playing it just in school band or something, or was he?
He's quite a bit older than me, so he was sort of, he played it in high school. He was in college sort of by the time I was playing, but I started playing sax in 6th grade.
That was the first instrument?
Yeah. No, sorry, not the first instrument, but the first that I feel like I was I picked it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Although, yeah, I started on drums. This family friend of ours played drums, and he lived in Florida, and we'd go and visit him, and I would smash on his drum set, and I was like, I need a drum set, Mom and Dad. So super early on when I was young, I got a little beginner drum set, little kick, snare, cymbal situation. I always wanted a hi-hat, and they were like, work on this first, and then maybe you'll get a hi-hat. And then did the piano lesson thing. My folks were really adamant about me taking piano, which I got a lot out of, for sure. I wasn't great at practicing, but it was just great to learn the language. Piano is just so, intuitive as far as, you can see your hands, it's all laid out for you. And so getting to read music at that point, I think was pretty fundamental for me. And then by the time I started saxophone, I already had that base of okay, I can read music. And then at that point, it's just figuring out what the fingers do for the note that I already know what it is. So I already had, a leg up in that regard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I sort of, went headlong into saxophone. One of my older brothers also played guitar and bass. So there were those kicking around, and I got really into those as well. I got a bass in middle school, and I was taking some bass lessons, and it was really just teach me this Green Day song. And my bass teacher would be like, what about the blues scale? And why don't we learn how to play blues? And what about Nirvana?
How about something cool, man?
Yeah. So there was a little compromise with me and old Clyde Stats there of just okay, well, I'll teach you how to play long view, and then maybe you can learn about 1-4-5. And
Do you feel like you've obviously explored a lot of instruments? You studied saxophone.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you always felt like you had some sort of natural talent for these things, or was there always a pretty big learning curve?
No, I felt like I had some natural talent,
or understanding.
Yeah. And maybe even to the detriment, I saw kids in college, especially, who were just they'd fucking practice hours a day. And I just never had that level of, not even dedication, but I just, I sort of got by on some natural talent. And I don't know. I wish I could practice more. I'd be a better saxophonist. I'd be a better musician. But
but you loved it also.
But I loved
obviously,
it. Yeah,
you were seeking out other instruments.
Yeah.
Along the way.
Totally.
And not just wanting to understand how.
Yeah.
To play the drums or piano or saxophone, but I want to learn how to play bass now. And
right. Yeah. Exactly. And I felt like I was always I was good at listening. My older brothers went to college and left their CD collections behind, which had a lot of pretty insane jazz in there. So that was like a real early education for me of just
Okay.
like rating their collection. It was just like, fuck, Coltrane at the Village Vanguard, like like
You were
Miles Davis kind of blue, like, you know,
Yeah.
like just like the, you know, a whole spread of, you know, that was sort of my inlet into jazz, you know, in like middle high school.
You liked it pretty early
Yeah,
on, like
yeah.
while you're also listening to maybe Green Day and Nirvana. You're like,
Totally.
but what about this
Yeah.
Coltrane shit? Like,
yeah, I think like the deeper I got into saxophone, you know, the all the Smashing Pumpkins I was listening to, I was like, there's no saxophone in here. Like, what am I doing? Like, I want to be a rock star, but like, I want to play saxophone. Like, I don't really get this. So I think I came upon that stuff, and it felt super anachronistic, you know, being in like rural Vermont as like a fucking white kid, like just like listening to all the 50s, 60s jazz that I could. But it really like, emotionally resonated with me, like in the same way that Melancholy did, or, you know, whatever, Nevermind, or that was big for me for sure. And then got on the you know, the CD delivery services,
ordering
the
from the
record
Columbia
clubs,
catalog
the
or some
Columbia clubs,
shit. Signing up for a penny with a bunch of different addresses and names.
I played that pretty hard. I think I got away with one too. They never like hit me with the like, we sent you 10 CDs that were $20 a piece and you never sent them back. So,
you said it was a penny, man.
Built a pretty good collection doing that. But
Did you play saxophone like in school band? Kind of thing, like school jazz band?
School jazz band, yeah. We didn't have a football team, so there wasn't like a marching band situation. So jazz band was really like the top echelon of like what you could be doing. As far as I was concerned, you know, I mean, we had a great concert band too. The music teacher at my high school, Andy Miscavige, was incredible, and like just like the perfect amount of hard ass that like I was never on the wrong side of because I was good. But yeah, you just like watch him like rip people apart, and like, and like I would just like love him even more for it. Because he would get results, and like the jazz band was fucking killing. And it was, you know, 3 days a week after school, so it just like screwed up everything else as far as extracurriculars. I feel like before that I was in middle school, I was super into sports, and then I got to high school and it's like you could do one or the other. Like you can't do sports and jazz band after school, and it was just it was a no-brainer for me at that point. Got super into it in high school, and there was a sort of smaller cohort of kids that I was in school with who were also like sort of deeper in it than just like the after school jazz band, and we were playing together at each other's houses and had a little combo going, and you know, would play for our parents, or like, you know, garden parties, whatever, like flipping through the real book, and just like trying to learn the standards, and just learning the improvisation, and, you know, chord structures and all that stuff. So it was cool to have some other kids too that were, you know, that we could all just like build together and learn the shit. So
what did you seem to love, or like what do you love about the saxophone maybe more than other instruments that you've explored, or what do you think kept you so engaged as a kid with it?
I mean, it's definitely the shiniest, so that's it's got the most buttons. So that was no, but I don't know. I think having an older brother, and my grandfather also played saxophone, so there was a little like, okay, it's in the family, like let's keep this going. I also just loved the saxophonists that I was listening to, like felt like Coltrane and Eric Dolphy and Ornette, and I don't know, just so many players that I could really identify with, and it felt like the most emotive to me.
Yeah.
Listening.
Is there something about the saxophone that you recognized, maybe listening to the records, that those people were in some ways the vocalist?
Yeah.
Ever? Like, I remember the first time I was on tour with a band that's like jazz adjacent, and we're touring with this dude Jared, and I was watching the band one night with him, and he's just like, "You see Andy up there? He's one of the sax players," and he's like,
Yeah.
"He's the fucking singer, man." And I was just like, "Oh shit!" Like,
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
really thought about it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It took me a while. I think I loved just the instrumentalness of it, and like the fact that there wasn't a vocalist.
Yeah.
Felt like, I don't know, a little more egalitarian or something. I think I loved like how much more the saxophone could do than vocals too.
Yeah.
It took me a while to sort of realize like, oh, this is, and I think I got there eventually for sure. I'm just like, oh, this is a very like melodic instrument, and it doesn't just have to be this like bombardment of like walls of sound and sheets, and I eventually got there for sure. Even like, going back and like, oh, Johnny Hodges is like absolutely a vocalist, you know, like he's singing in a way that, when I was first listening to later train stuff and free jazz, and I was like, oh, this is just like its own fucking weird alien thing that, I need to learn how to do.
So by the time you're like in high school, do you feel like you're kind of more identifying yourself as a jazz musician, and that you see some sort of path in that, and like like what inspires your move to like pursue jazz at Oberlin?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a progression from, freshman year, sophomore year, just trying to be like playing a lot of guitar and bass and trying to rock out or something. I feel like I had a little band there, and we'd played a couple shows. It was, the music director, the jazz band, I was like eating lunch in the band room every day. I was like one of those kids,
Yeah.
So I was like, this is my community. These are my friends. This is what we're all doing. This is where we're going. This is like all the music we're listening to. And sort of at that same time, there was like the swing revival and like the fourth wave ska. I don't know third, fourth wave. So it was like a little like, oh, I can see saxophone in these other like types of music as well. That's,
This is like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. This would have,
Okay.
sort of like, early 2000s was when I was like starting to see that too. And it's like, oh, like this could also be a path. And I was in a ska band at some point. And shout out the Bazookas.
Oh yeah.
So I was still doing some of that too.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like we could totally be a rock star. Like
Yeah.
playing the saxophone, like absolutely do this. But for certain, by the time I was, senior year of high school, I was getting sort of nice at it, and felt like I had like found somewhat of a voice, and had developed into something.
Then you go to Ohio.
Then I go to Ohio. Yeah, I took a year off before going.
Okay.
Played a lot of music. I had my buddy Randy Pierce, who I played with all through high school, also took a year off, so we played a lot together. I found some other dudes around Vermont who were older, who were writing some amazing music. And so I was just doing a bunch of stuff. I think I'd finished high school being super into music and super into creative writing, and didn't want to go into college without well, I wanted to do some traveling too, but I think I also like wanted to do some soul searching of like, okay, what am I going to study in school? I probably shouldn't just like study saxophone and creative writing, which is partially why I chose Oberlin, because they had both of those programs there. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I'll take a year off. I'll sort of think about stuff and do some traveling. And, you know, ultimately I just ended up playing a bunch of music and living in a music house and partying all the time. And I don't know, I got to school and I was like, this is sort of it. I don't know.
You have like obviously made like all instrumental records. Is that like your personal music?
My personal music, yes.
Has been all instrumental records.
Yeah.
But do you feel like your creative writing has informed your music at all? Or do you feel like those are like very different things?
They were, I think for a while I was like trying to write some like vocal driven music, and so there was a time, and like it comes and goes even still, where I'm like, I'm a poet at heart and I could write these songs, and if I could just figure out like how to fucking play guitar, like maybe it could be a thing, or like sing, like I could figure out how to sing, that would be cool. Yeah, I think yes and no, where my saxophone feels like a very sort of different part of my brain than, you know, some other like sort of private music pursuits that will probably never come to anything. Yeah. But I also, I've done a lot of writing on music, so I think that has also informed things. A lot of like band bios and silly bios for the Grammys albums, and like you know, so there's some of that too, of like trying to distill what I'm doing musically back into words. So there's so much that's like so much a part of like building an identity for some, like a band to some degree of, you know, being able to present it through words sometimes, or like writing the band bios. Like people, you know, can struggle with those things, and so it's cool that you like found an outlet for it, like within the projects. Totally.
And like similar to like a visual artist when they get to like make the album art for their thing.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Or just like, the whole idea of like an artist statement, which I think is super tough. And it's, you know, you get a lot of band bios that are just like, especially in the jazz world, of like, they played with so-and-so and so-and-so and shared the stage with so-and-so and so-and-so. And it's just like not about them at all, but like about all these other musicians that they played with. And it's just like, this is not interesting to read. It's not informative of like what the music is. I'd almost rather, I mean, I feel like with the Grammy stuff, especially, I've gone like pretty abstract and absurdist with it on occasion, where it's just like, I'd rather read this than, you know, like just like a weird, like 5-paragraph essay about like sort of the music, but like drawing these weird, like nonsensical parallels. And I don't know. That's been sort of fun for me over the years.
That's very cool. I just got to do my first ever liner notes for Chris Frank. He has a new project that's putting out a record soon, and he's like, "Do you want to do liner notes like a, you know, like an old Blue Note record?" And I was just like, "Man, I've never done anything like that. That sounds like super, super fun." So
cool.
Gave it a go.
Nice.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it?
Now that Chris has edited it, I feel good. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I think this, like, he sent me some examples of things, and I like how first person some of them are.
Okay.
Like, I don't remember which record he sent me, but it was like the manager of the band. And they were like, I was always telling this person they got to do this, or like I'd seen a lot of shows, and I took a lot of inspiration from that, because the record they're putting out was for my Sunday coffee thing. So it was like recorded at a thing that I put together, and it's a live record. And I was just trying to like draw on that experience a little bit, and it made it very fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I love that type of music writing too. That's just like completely internalizes it and makes it personal in a way that, just like, the cats, whatever. However regular liner notes go.
I think, I was also taking full advantage of being able to write it from like my perspective, because I remember the first show review I ever did for a magazine. Do you remember when Vortex magazine was a thing here?
Yeah.
I used to do some writing for them, and I did a show review one time. It was the first time I ever did a show review. Big Metallica fan growing up.
Okay.
And Metallica came and played the Moda Center, and I was able to get like a press pass for it, and I was super hyped. And I wrote that article. I was so fucking hyped about it, and a lot of it was just like about my personal experience that night. And they were like, "Hey, just next time, just so you know, like you shouldn't really be saying like I or like
no, fuck that
and I was
shit.
just like, no, this is what makes it cool. Like I think.
No, totally. Yeah. There's no journalism there. You gotta you gotta make it personal.
So you go to Oberlin for college. Seems like you got to study and learn from a lot of great players. The one that stood out to me was Donald Byrd.
Donald Byrd.
What do you remember about Donald? Like, is there anything that has stuck with you about the way you interacted with him, or the way he taught, or any of the time spent there?
I wish I could say better things. I wish I could say more. It was a pretty tenuous time. The head of the department, Wendell Logan, was sick for about a year. And so Donald Byrd stepped in sort of last minute. And, he had a ton on his plate that he was covering for the jazz ensemble. He was doing jazz history. He was doing some, I think, jazz oral skills. And he had bunch of responsibilities, most of which I felt like he shirked for most of the semester, where he would and he was a little out of it at that point too. So he was he'd sort of do these throw off, write me a paper about the African diaspora as related to not even jazz, just some other shit where you're just okay, this isn't what you've been talking about at all, or the lectures were pretty stream of consciousness. One of I think it was the jazz history class, had a lot of college kids taking it too. It wasn't just conservatory kids. So people who just had no fucking idea who Donald Byrd was, and just expecting a college course and being what the fuck is this dude talking about? And then these throwaway papers, and they would do the paper, which everybody in the jazz program was I'm not doing that fucking paper. I don't know what he's talking about. And then he wouldn't grade it, wouldn't look at them, and basically just be what's this? What are you giving me right now?
Yeah.
And then at some point he just stopped showing up for everything. It was just man, this is out. It's cool that I get to be I studied with Donald Byrd. Not a ton of information or experience passed down in a way that I would not expect, because I don't know, whatever, you can expect something from a college education, but
you didn't get the firsthand learning from his playing kind of experience. Though.
Yeah. I've gotten so much more from just listening to his albums. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like we got him at a pretty weird time in his life, where he was just cool, this is a paycheck, all right, I'm gonna step in and just hang with all these kids in Ohio, I guess.
He was a fill-in.
Totally.
For a gig he maybe didn't want to do. Who did have a big impact on you while you were there?
So Gary Bartz was my main teacher, saxophone teacher. And that was deep, man. That was incredible shit.
Who's Gary? I don't have context for you.
No. So he's still going, man. He's still shredding. He's mostly alto and some soprano. He's in his 80s at this point, probably. But one of those dudes who played with everybody.
Okay.
It was like when I started at Oberlin, I had been listening to the Mingus Big Band Live in Time album a bunch in high school. And then I realized he was on that. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, it wasn't it was like a posthumous Mingus band. But he had also played with Mingus back in the day and hung with Dolphy and Train and Miles.
Okay.
He did a bunch of stuff with Miles. He was on the Isle of Wight performance with Miles and some other stuff. But and then he put out a string of pretty sick jazz albums and jazz fusion albums where he was a dude. I feel like that was sort of the start of being like, okay, like voice and saxophone can be this sort of fluid thing, because he would be singing on albums and then blowing solos and orchestrating everything. And it took me a while to get down with those albums, because I was like 50s jazz, 60s jazz, like that's it. So yeah, some of his like 70s stuff like took me a little while to get to, but it's dope stuff. I feel like he's got that like very I don't know, just like laser focused tone of like Coltrane, but on the alto. I feel like very identifiable once you can get to him.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, that's scary. Like, absolutely, within the first like couple notes.
For sure.
But it was like, it was very philosophical. We would just be like jamming to Band in a Box every week, where you like this computer program where you just like put in the chords and then it would just like spew out a Jamie Aebersold style like play along track. So there was a lot of just like jamming on standards and trading choruses, and so he'd play and then I would try to play like him, or like do some shit that I think he would like, and so there's a lot of like back and forth conversation via saxophone, not a lot of like do this specifically or like you fucked up that chord, but just like, okay, like we'll try this again, like let's do it. And then like classical etudes, he was super into all these French etudes, which was that was a challenge for me. That was the first I had really like gotten into some of that stuff.
What are etudes?
Studies.
Okay.
Yeah. French for
a little bit of a dummy
studies.
over here.
No,
right?
you're all good. You're all good.
I'll go ahead and put the definitions up if you're watching on YouTube.
It's French, dude. You don't speak French. It's fine.
It'd be worse if I was like, no, I'm actually fluent in French. I still don't know what etudes are.
You could tell me I'm wrong. I don't even know. But he'd be like, yo, get this Tershak book. And it was like an etude in every key, major and minor. So 24 etudes, and they were all fucking different, all super difficult. Or this one book by this dude Bosa, who he was like, this is Dolphy's shit. Like Dolphy just loved Bosa. So I was like, okay, I gotta like get all the Bosa books and like try to get behind some of that, which was all just so totally rambunctious and like just all over the horn in Dolphy fashion, but like all in like a classical way. Yeah. We're just like, what the fuck?
I do love like encountering somebody like that, whether they're like a teacher or a peer, where they're like, whatever they have been inspired by or like really enjoy, you just like, you're like, all right, well, I gotta get that. I gotta absorb that and see like what that's about, so I can like further understand this person or like tap into the juice that they have.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that was the shit for sure. I mean, he was my main dude. I feel like I was pretty shy because there were like Billy Hart taught there, as an amazing drummer.
Okay.
Just a lot of dudes. The program was fucking stacked with musicians who had been there in like the 60s, 70s, like playing with all the cats, and they weren't necessarily teachers, which I think was sort of difficult for me, because I was like going to school. I think it's like sort of the problem with jazz pedagogy in general, where you're like, you want to like learn the things and like learn the chords and the scales, but you don't want to just learn that, and like you want like the philosophical background. You want the like, I learned on the streets and like I learned on the bandstand, and I was like playing with Miles at 19 or like whatever it is, where you don't necessarily want like, or you do, and like you go to Berkeley or like IU or North Texas or whatever. There are programs that are a little more like, we will teach you how to be a studio musician and you'll be able to play everything in all keys and like all perfectly. And that was never like what I was super into.
Yeah.
So all that said, yeah, I would like see these dudes and just be like sort of in awe of them and not really be able to like break out of the shell and like bust into their studio and be like, yo, like let's play Billy Hart. And like there were kids who did, and like I think they got a bit more out of it than I did.
I think that's such a cool part of the jazz world, is when you go to schools like that, and like a lot of times the people you've been listening to on records are the ones that are actually teaching.
Totally.
Like it seems like it's so unique to that genre of music.
Yeah, Oberlin was very much, I think Wendell, that was like his big thing, Dr. Logan. He was, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I think Oberlin had the first or one of the first like specifically jazz programs in the conservatory. A lot of it was just, before that was just like you go to the conservatory to learn classical music.
Yeah.
And so he was like, okay, we're going to do that, but for jazz, but I want to get actual players. Like, I don't want to like get people who like couldn't hack it as players. And so started teaching.
Yeah.
Which was good and bad. I think, to start out, Gary and I had a tough time, or I had a tough time with Gary Bartz, just because I was like, man, like teach me something, motherfucker. Which is just like rude to think. But yeah, or like, he's like out touring for a month. And so I'm just like, yo, are you here this week? Like, no. Like next week? No. Okay. Like paying this money. It's rude. It's all bad. It's all bad thinking. I was young. I was a shithead.
And you stuck around Oberlin for
a
little bit after you finished school and started that jazz night.
Yeah,
in downtown.
Man. Dude, you're like Nardwuar in here. Started a jazz session at this place called the Fev, where I worked after I was there. I was working there maybe my senior year a little bit too. But yeah, hung out for about a year and a half after. I was working at the local bar, serving, bartending, and then started a jazz night every Sunday, which was killing. Do you know Rafik Bhatia? He's definitely like low key famous at this point. He plays in a band called Sunlux.
Okay. Yes.
But also does solo stuff.
Yeah.
Did an album with Dave Douglas last year. Anyway, he was a freshman on my after I had graduated. And so I was like hanging with him. I was blown away by him, and he was in my band. So it was great. We would like come up with a sort of theme every week, and it was like a Kurt Rosenwinkel, Mark Turner night, and then we'd like learn a bunch of those heads over the week, and then like present them. And we did probably a few train nights and like Ornette, and so yeah, that was super fun. It was cool to it was a nice transition from like being done with school, but like having some outlet that was like a little more professional or something than just like playing at the SCO or, playing at Hale's gym for other jazz kids.
Were you composing a lot of music at that time of your own?
I was, yeah. I composed a fair bit in college. I don't do a ton of it anymore. But yeah, at the time I was doing a bunch more. It was a pretty like personally inspiring space, and like a safe space to just like get weird. And you had this just like whole studio of amazing musicians who didn't have anything else but to like hang out and play music.
Yeah.
So it felt like a good incubator of just like, cool. Like I'm just, I'm hanging out in Northern Ohio and with all these badasses, and like, let's write some weird music. And
since you had that jazz night, was that like a good time for you to fuck around with stuff too? And
yeah. We did some we did a few nights of like, all original stuff. And, it was definitely like a cool workshopping situation of like, okay, this works in a live setting. This doesn't, I don't care if it works. I do care. I don't know. It was a productive time for sure. And nice to like, dude, working bars in Ohio, I would just make my rent in a night, and then, the rest was just sort of gravy. Just be like working a few nights a week.
Hell yeah.
It's just like so much time on my hands.
It's probably similar to what it was like when you moved to Portland in 2007.
Right.
Where you could like be a barista, work a few days, pay your rent.
Yeah.
I kind of missed that train a little. I saw the very tail end of it.
Yeah. When did you move here?
2013.
Okay.
Like there was still like 1-bedroom apartments for like $700.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Like in cool locations.
Yeah. No, totally, man. Yeah. That was pretty much, I feel like that was the end of it.
Yeah.
I had a 1-bedroom house off of Alberta and 20th. I think when I left, it was $1,100. And I was renting it with my partner at the time. And then, we split in like 2015. And I feel like that was like the last cheap rent I ever saw.
What brought you out here?
So I had friends who had moved out ahead of me. Some other Ohio kids. Kenyon College wasn't too far away, and I was dating somebody who went to Kenyon College. So I ended up spending a lot of time down in Kenyon College on the weekends, playing with musicians down there. This dude, Eric Hickey, I played with a lot, who I actually weirdly met in Burlington during my year off before going to college in like 2000. And we only realized this like years and years later. We were like, dude, you remember that guy, Alex Sneidman? Like, we were all hanging out. Like, what? So anyway, I played on his senior recital. And, so he moved out, maybe like the year before or something. And was like, yo, you guys got to come to Portland. It's dope. We have an extra bedroom in our house. So that was the start of it. I always knew I was going to make it to the West Coast at some point. Like in high school, I was like, I just got to get to California or like somewhere on the West Coast. I don't think I knew about Oregon yet. Portland probably wasn't a thing yet. And my brother was in San Francisco. I had friends in Seattle, and my brother is a nephrologist who's married to a doctor, and it's like 2 doctors trying to make it in San Francisco, and they were like, do not move to San Francisco. Like, you can't afford San Francisco. Like, what about Oakland? No, like, do not. Nowhere in the Bay should you be moving. I was like, okay, cool. Like, well, Portland is just up the road and right on the coast, so which I was wrong on both accounts. And then I also got a job on Craigslist before even coming out here as a saxophone teacher.
Nice.
Back when that was also a thing, getting like a reliable job on Craigslist. It didn't end up being a reliable job. I did not end up getting any students from them, but it was enough, where they were like, okay, you graduated from Oberlin. Like, we need a saxophone teacher. Come out. We'll get you students. We're starting a saxophone program. It was mostly just a piano program at that point. And so they were like, yeah, come on out and like give us a call when you get here. I was like, cool. And we packed the Hyundai Elantra with like all of our shit and our German Shepherd and drove out and like left a bunch of shit in Ohio that we're like, we'll come back for it eventually. And it just like never fucking did.
Hell yeah.
Just like all still sitting in my ex-girlfriend's house. So that was sort of it. I got here and I fucking loved it. I moved to the Brooklyn neighborhood. And there was like no sales tax and you could smoke indoors at bars and there was like citywide Wi-Fi at that point too.
Shit.
Or like maybe just like Southeast, but like anyway, it was just like free Wi-Fi everywhere. And just like, I don't know, just like a dope scene of what you're saying, like people doing their barista job for a few days a week and then doing art the rest of the time or, whatever it was, like maker spaces and last Thursday and people selling shit out of the back of their car. And
and you started some jazz night at Camilla Lounge?
Yeah.
In the Pearl?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
I understand that you devoted a lot of time to that. Like you were like there was like 5 nights a week of music.
There
over
was,
there.
yeah, 5 nights. Yeah. Tuesday through Sunday. And I was, I was booking music there. It was my first job when I got here. And it was a tea lounge in the front and back, but the back at night would turn into a music venue and bar that had all these tea infused cocktails. And the place fucking sucked. I mean, it was beautiful. The owner sucked. But I stuck it out. The other employees were cool. It was just like a fun place to hang, despite how toxic it was from like the top down. And I stuck it out for long enough where the music booker got booted, and I was like, well, I know music. Like I can take this on. So before I stepped in, it was a lot of, acoustic singer-songwriter stuff, and I still kept some of that, but I was also like, look, I'm trying to get into the jazz scene. I will use this as like sort of a backdoor, be connecting up with musicians and just being like, yo, I can get you a gig. Like, also I play music. Let's play.
Cool.
So it was a cool way to like, to meet people, not just cold calling and being like, I just moved to town. Like, let's jam. But sort of getting that relationship with people first. So yeah, it was, at the time, I mean, there weren't a lot of other venues. There was Jimmy Mac's down the street.
Right.
There was, what's it called? Ivory's, eventually. There was like really a lot of jazz clubs had just shut down. So there wasn't a lot around. So I was able to get some pretty insane musicians for just like, you get a percentage of sales. Sorry. Like this place is broke. And, but like, it's a cool room. It sounds good. And if you fill it up, you get paid. And, so, and then I ran a jazz jam there weekly, which was again, another way to just like meet musicians. And at the time there was just like Ron Steen jams going on a few times a week. So this was like sort of an alternative. And, we'd get like, different musicians than like would hit up the Ron Steen jams, like a little more like people up and coming, or I mean, also great musicians too. But just like a cool way to meet players and just be playing every week too.
Yeah,
which was great.
How different was the jazz scene then versus now?
Interesting. I mean, I think having Jimmy Mac's as an anchor in town was really important. And I think it was a huge loss.
Yeah, that place was pretty legendary. Right?
Yeah.
I never made it there.
Yeah.
But I do remember like when it closed, I was living here and people mourning that place.
Yeah. Yep. It was a big deal. And it was, a place where the community could just have like a home base. Mel Brown would be bringing groups, and to be honest, I never hung out there all that much. But just to like be aware of like, that was where it was happening.
Yeah.
And like, I had this place and like, it was also sort of happening here and, here and there. So there's the 1905 now. And then there's Turn. There's No Fun that like host jazz occasionally.
Yeah. Which I think is like, I don't know. Those places are honestly, I think, more fun for me to go see stuff than like the Jack London.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That could possibly be solely due to its location, but I don't know.
You don't like hanging out underneath
there's
pool
something
halls?
like a little weird and stuffy about it.
Yeah.
I think, I've seen some great music there, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The other stuff like No Fun and Turn seems a little more punk rock, like taps into the DIY.
Yeah, totally. And that's like, honestly, that's been my whole thing as well. I mean, I love that, there's the 1905, there's Jack London. I love that Jimmy Mac's was the home for this, but yeah, also like there weren't like really like jazz clubs in Burlington where I was growing up. There were like places that hosted jazz and a bunch of other stuff. And I felt like that was like, I would always felt more at home at like the punk venues that were like throwing crazy rock shows and, 242 Main and, then like Red Velvet Curtains and like the MC on the stage introducing the band and like the $20 cover and then the $20 drink minimum. And, you know, the people are like sitting there eating food like 3 feet away from you. You're like, how loud can I play? Like, how weird can I get in this setting?
Are they really losing themselves in the music while they're consuming the pasta? Like at the same time, can they do both?
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, that's always, that's for sure been my scene as well. Just like, I would much rather play to like 10 people a turn and like be able to just like do it a little more on my own terms.
Also, fucking banging sandwiches at Devil's Dough connected to No Fun.
Absolutely.
How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm playing No Fun. I get to eat, crushing sandwich.
One of the best tuna sandwiches in the game, Noah.
Okay.
I don't know if you're a fan of the tuna sandwich.
No.
I know it hasn't made an appearance yet on the menu.
We're gonna talk about this because we need a Bernstein's Tuna Boy collab.
That'd be
so
incredible.
I'm calling it right now.
Oh man,
it's got to make it happen.
That would be a fucking dream. I could retire.
Yeah,
we could.
Let's hash it out. We can hash it out today, or like just like what the perfect tuna salad is for you, and then we'll put it on the menu. And we'll put your name on it. It'll be great.
As far as playing music, what do you love about playing with a big ensemble? Maybe like something that's like 6 people plus, versus what you love about playing in something like Grammys, which is a duo.
Yeah. I mean, I love it all. I love, I've historically coming up listening to a lot of Mingus stuff, where he just like, you know, he had like 5 or 6 voices going and like, you know, super weird harmonies. And, you know, I love that aspect of a larger ensemble where you can just be writing these like more or less chamber pieces. You can get a little deeper into the harmony. You have all that variation in voice and soloists. You know, it's just a sort of wider canvas or more color palette or whatever.
Yeah.
However it goes. And it's also just less pressure as, you know, than like the co-lead of a duo or something, you know, like, or like a, you know, I've done a lot of work as in like trio settings with bass and drums, and you know, that's just like you're very exposed as the lead instrument, and even without like a piano or a guitar, without any sort of like chordal structure underneath you, trying to imply a lot of that stuff as like the one lead instrument is a lot of pressure for sure. But yeah, the Grammys stuff I feel like was a revelation as far as how much of myself I can put into the music, and how much of the other person, how much Dan gets, Dan Sutherland gets put in the music, and how we can just like really just mash this thing up 50-50 and see what comes out the other side. You know, it's just like a little bit more direct of like, this is where this person's coming from. This is where this person's coming from. Like, this is the middle, and it like pushes one way or the other. But this is just purely these two folks just going at it, just smashing.
Yeah. Does that make it a little clearer to like dive more into the experimental stuff in some way when it's just like the 2 voices versus a huge ensemble?
For sure. I think it certainly makes it easier because it's like none of the Grammy stuff was ever written down. So it's, you know, it can all just sort of change at the drop of a hat too.
Like that best new music record.
Yeah.
That you brought me.
Yep. Yeah.
That's just like all improv stuff.
It's there's a lot of improv stuff on it. There's stuff that we worked out ahead of time. I mean, I say not written down, like not notated, it's not on sheet music sort of thing, as opposed to, you know, you're playing with like a 6-piece ensemble, everybody has their parts and everybody knows what they're playing, and if you want to like change anything, it's like a whole rewrite, and then it's like more rehearsals and you know, whatever it is. And you know, with the Grammy stuff, it was our process when Dan lived in town was, you know, we would just hang out in his basement and just play for hours, and he would bring the samples in that he had made, and it was like, cool, like I'm working on these samples. I don't know what order they're supposed to go in. So he was able to, he was drumming and playing the samples all at the same time. So he was in charge of like all the chordal movements, so we could really like just change the whole shape of a song instantaneously. If it's like, okay, like that chord should go over there, or like, it didn't necessarily make it more or less experimental, but just like we could experiment with stuff. I'm just like, okay, like you do that, and then I'm gonna figure out a melody for that part, and then okay, like go to the next section, we'll figure that out, and then okay, like in between there's just gonna be this crazy improvised thing, and then we'll just like mash it all together, and it'll be something for the beat heads, and then something for the weirdo experimental musicians, and like the noise musicians, and that Best New Music gets pretty ambient in a way that we hadn't before. And so it was like, okay, like we're gonna just like pull the fucking rug out, and it's gonna be 6 minutes of just like celestial,
so sick,
like
so sick. I'm so hyped that you brought me one of those.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I love that record. Yeah,
the vinyl pressing sounds so good too, man. I don't know. I've gotten pretty into vinyl over the last couple of years, really, since putting that out. I was just like, okay, I need more vinyl. It just sounds so good.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like that first Bad Not Good record, where there's like a lot of like electronic stuff happening. As much as like the traditional like acoustic instrumentation. It's like a very cool blend. Like I love listening to like that record, and then listening to your Noah Bernstein and the Six.
Right. Yeah.
Like, is that the correct title?
Six. Yeah.
Six.
Yeah.
Like
there's 6 musicians.
Listening to those like back to back, like in whichever order.
Yeah.
I think is just like gives you a cool lens on like your appreciation for a wide range of music.
Interesting. Yeah. Dude, I haven't listened to Six in years. People still listen to it, which I'm like, man, thank you so much. Like,
also
that's
a great
dope,
record, dude. Like, yeah, I've been listening to it a lot just like the last few days just to prepare for this. Cause like, I don't know. I think I've only seen you play music live maybe once. It was at a Montevilla Jazz Festival pre-COVID. It was a very large ensemble.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
I think it was your.
Oh wait, who was this with?
I feel like it maybe was your thing, but maybe you were just playing.
I think I was just playing.
I know I went with Chris Frank. It was my first time going into Montevilla Jazz Festival. It was an inside thing.
Yeah,
in the room there.
I've done a few gigs with them. There was the Ian Christensen, but that was a quartet. Oh fuck, this is bad that I'm blanking on what that was.
It
but
might have been you know what? Maybe it wasn't such a big group. It might have been Ian's thing.
Yeah,
but I've seen you make more bagels than I've seen you play music.
At this point, I think probably most people.
But it's I think that record like holds up really
well, man,
too.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's also like, asking what the difference is of like writing for 6 musicians versus just having the duo. I think that was also like a 10-year span between those albums. And before making 6, I was like, just like, I'm a jazz musician. I just listen to jazz. Like, that's my whole thing. And then right around the time that I was actually like finally recording that album, because I had written that music over a lot of years before that, I did some touring, and my like musical world just like got exploded, and I was like, oh my god, there's so much more out there besides jazz. Like, fuck, what have I been doing?
Was that during like the Tune Yards touring?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like playing
so
this like kind of
I recorded like half
pop.
of that album before going on Tune Yards tour, and then the other half like in the middle of Tune Yards tour, and like released it after Tune Yards tour. And like by the time I released it, I was like, man, like this doesn't like hold up in the way that I was like really. There's like such a long process, and then like in the between times I was like, oh man, like there's William Omnivore in the world, and there's Durder, and there's Zelda, and like that was like this shit that we were listening to in the van, and there's D'Angelo, and there,
got your mind blown open a little bit.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I think by the time Dan and I started playing together, and Dan was also like, dude, you gotta check out D'Angelo. You need to check out Frank Ocean, which just like started me on this whole other path.
That's cool that
so-
like that tour, touring with the Tune Yards, like not only like I'm sure playing was different than playing in the jazz ensembles that you had played in before, but like that it just exposed you to so much
Totally
different
yeah.
music like off stage.
Yeah. It was a huge education for me. Even just like, what's it like being in a van for 10 hours a day? And like, this is the thing. This is the thing that you dreamed about your whole life, and like you're doing it now. And like, do you like it? Like, you're in fucking wherever. You're in Iceland. You're like in Malmo, Sweden. Like, do you enjoy being here? Like, what's the show like? Like, and which inevitably like fucking loved. I was like, okay, I could just do this forever. This would be great. Yeah, playing huge festivals and just like wandering stage to stage. Just like, okay, like this is what's happening now, and let's like come out of the 60s.
It seems like bagels, the bagel shop is definitely like the main focus these days.
It is, yeah. Yep.
So what role would you say like music like plays in your life now, or like how does it fit in?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's still my emotional core. It's like in a lot of ways, where I feel like I can best express myself. And I don't do it as much as I wish or thought that I would be doing it. But also it's like very much on my own terms, which I have really like come to appreciate deep in my core.
You don't have to like rely upon jazz to pay the bills.
Dude, yeah. I had a few years where it's like, okay, music is my living. I have to say yes to every gig. I have to say yes to every recording offer, to like play some solo on some like 80s inspired synth pop stuff, and like just shit. Like I have to teach lessons to kids who don't want to learn saxophone, who's like kids or parents are just like, learn an instrument, like leave the house for an hour and go talk to this guy. Or like I had sort of a side hustle doing this transcription gig for closed captioning. Just like all the ways that I was having to piece shit together to like make music, my whole thing. And at the same time, like what happens to your like first love when you have to rely on paying the bills with it. And like, it definitely took an emotional hit for me in a way that, when the bagel shop started to take off, I was like, oh, cool. Like I can quit this teaching job. I can tell these bands to fuck off. I can like, not that I told, whatever.
But you don't have to like take those gigs anymore that like didn't really like, I don't know, fill you in like a positive way.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. And then, I at the same time, I lost track of a lot of musicians who I would really love to be playing with now.
Yeah.
It was definitely a trade-off where, it was, for a while, it was just like my every day, and I was trying to gig at night, and then, wake up at 5 a.m. to make bagels, sleep for a few hours in between, or like maybe take a nap after working at the shop. There was still, man, I'm like, 8 years in from owning a shop, and it's still like tough to just be like, okay, like I have a gig, I'm going to take the day of and the day after off, and I can like just focus on this. Or like I have a gig out of town, like I'm going to go travel and like sleep up there, and, just like give my brain completely over to music. That was always the goal of like, okay, get the bagel shop up and running, and like get another revenue stream, and then, be able to just do the music thing more, not having to worry about playing background gigs at like a hotel bar or something like that. But, that said, I had to turn turn down and like lose track of a lot of musicians that I did want to be playing and didn't want to be playing with. But
For sure.
yeah, it was double-edged for sure. A lot of culling in ways that I did and didn't want to have happen. So I'm still trying to like regain some of those relationships. And I mean, I think COVID was also super difficult, and you know, we were all just like trying to survive. And I still didn't think I'd still be like mentally rebounding from that, but I think in some ways I am.
Yeah.
So.
Well, not that as if your music career is done, but like when you think back to like where you are at with it now, like is there some things that stand out to you as like the things you're most proud that you got to do, either like as a composer or just as a player?
Yeah.
Like what comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, there are like a few major touchstones for sure. The Tune Yards tour was incredible. It was like a year long, just like, all right, get on this flight, like get on this bus, get on this ferry to this island. Like, you know, that was incredible. I was super proud of, you know, and just like super psyched to have been able to do that.
Was that the Tiny Desk year?
That was the Tiny Desk year.
Cool.
Yeah,
I was just watching that earlier.
Oh, nice.
Like,
Hell yeah.
that's cool too, because Tiny Desk like still lives on as like this iconic thing, and you kind of got to do it. I feel like when it was like really coming up, when it was like becoming like really one of those like cultural pillars for music.
Totally.
Like one of those internet sessions that people just tune into. Doesn't matter who's playing.
Yeah, exactly. No, that was fucking incredible, you know. Yeah, super proud of that. Let's see, what else? I toured a bunch with this band Shy Girls that used to be based here, and that was pretty major for me. It wasn't like it wasn't my music, but I was psyched to be able to contribute to it and like find a way with saxophone in more pop music. I mean, you know, Tune Yards to some is like pop maybe, but in like a real like, you know, pop R&B setting, just being like, okay, like what, how can I like make this my own?
Yeah.
It was like also, you know, a huge education for me in different ways, you know, of like, okay, like we're gonna hang out in the van and listen to Justin Bieber and like figure out what we love about it and like how it's terrible, but like why everybody else loves it. And like, you know, like find some of those like pop sensibilities that I could also internalize and just be like, no, it's cool. Like, I don't know. I know it's like not hip to like Bieber or whatever, but, or like fucking Drake or, yeah, I don't know. So that was pretty major as far as, you know, like looking back of time spent. But yeah, I think like the nearest, dearest to my heart is the Grammys stuff. And it's still going. I mean, Dan lives in Michigan now, but we have another album recorded.
Hell yeah.
And it's like, you know, I went out there a year and a half ago or something, almost 2 years ago to record it.
Okay.
So it's, you know, it's got a ways to go still. We're trying to figure out how to edit it and like what direction to sort of take with it. But I cherish that friendship and just that music compatriotism with him. I saw him like 4 times this year. I'm like, dude, I see you more than I see Aquila Fields. Like, this is weird. I don't know. We just have just like, so much trust at this point and so much understanding of each other's path, that it feels pretty effortless. And just, you know, I fly to Michigan and like day one, we're just like, all right, like let's get into it. And then, you know, 6 days later or whatever, like best new music is done.
Hell yeah. So that makes sense for like fitting into what your life is now too, I would assume, where you don't have to like put so much energy into, you know, maybe preparing something for a larger ensemble. Like you guys can just
totally
get together and get to work and good stuff comes out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. I think we made it. We made it through the music.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Now for the bagel portion
The bagel
of
portion
the program.
of the evening.
Were you
We've
always
made it to the pumpernickel.
Were you always making bagels, or like had an interest in baking or cooking all of this time while you've been playing music or growing up? Like how did Bernstein Bagels come to be, Noah?
Yeah. I never loved cooking. I didn't really do much baking growing up. I did work I feel like I've always worked in food,
Okay.
one way or another. From, 7th grade, working in the summer at the Charlotte Berry Farm, like picking berries. That was like my first job. And then I worked at a hot dog factory, and I did work at a bakery one summer, which was cool. I had just gotten my license, and they needed a delivery driver. So they put me in charge of the delivery van at like newly 16. Didn't live in Burlington, and they were just like, okay, like drive up the road to Burlington and delivered all these places. And I like had my MapQuest like printed out of like where these fucking places were. I did not know
Yes,
Burlington,
dude.
Didn't really know how to drive, like had this giant delivery van. I'd like show up 3 hours later, and they'd be like, where have you been? It's like, I don't know. I'm 16.
Yeah. You made this decision, not me.
Yeah, it's crazy. But during that time, got some hands-on time with dough, and I liked it. It wasn't like a revelation by any means.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, like this is what I'm doing the rest of my life. It was just like a summer job at that point. But yeah, it was really, I started making bagels in my kitchen at my house in 2015. Yeah, I'd come off of, I think, a few big Shy Girls tours.
Okay.
We were maybe touring with like Little Dragon right before that. And there wasn't anything lined up for a while. And, touring as a musician, you have like all of your time very regimented, where you're like, okay, like we have to get sound check at 4, and then it's like eat your hummus and pita rider at 5, and then like go out to dinner, and then like hit the stage at 8 or whatever it is, and like get to the hotel, and then lobby call is 6 a.m., whatever the fuck it is. So coming back and just having zero regiment whatsoever sort of freaked me out. I was like, days are so long. I don't know what I'm doing.
How do I fill the time?
How do I fill the time? So one of my older brothers got me, just on a whim, a Cook's Illustrated baking edition of the magazine.
Okay.
It was just like filled with a bunch of bread recipes, and I like started with ciabatta and then moved on to, pumpernickel rye, and I made croissants one time, which was crazy. But there was a bagel recipe in there, and I made my first bagels by hand because I didn't have a stand mixer at that point. It's like very stiff dough. And so that came out all lumpy and weird, but they were fucking good. And I was like, man, this is, people in Portland love to talk about, especially back in 2015, how there was no good bagels. And there had been Kettleman's for a while, and Kettleman's had closed sort of recently. So there's this big hole, no pun intended, big bagel shaped hole.
What do you guys do with the bagel holes?
You don't want to know, man.
But like, were you a big bagel fan? Like, were you the guy on tour that would like try to find the bagel shop that was near?
I wasn't.
Or this is just happenstance of like getting this recipe magazine and finding the bagel one and taking a shot at it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I grew up eating bagels for sure.
Yeah.
And it was like a mix between like shitty Lender's bagels, but there was a legit bagel shop in Burlington, sort of one of the first folks who had started like a new wave of bagel making outside of New York. So they had moved to Burlington in maybe the 70s. So they were like making real good bagels. So I grew up eating those
Okay.
for sure. When we would get them, but sort of the daily driver was just like the frozen lenders in the fridge, which are not good bagels at all.
Are we talking like grocery store?
Yeah, just
style
like
bagels?
shitty, like frozen. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do you even consider those to be bagels
At this point, no.
Okay.
Yeah. But kid in Vermont, I didn't know.
Yeah,
any
yeah,
better.
absolutely, yeah.
But, just to say, like, I'd been obsessed with the form,
Yeah.
as a kid, but it wasn't like, I wasn't, really like going out there searching for good bagels.
Okay.
And like, honestly, it's changed. I feel like there are sort of good bagels everywhere now, but even like, man, 2011, 12, 13, 14, like there was just like no good bagels around the country, unless you were in New York, which we can talk about that too. But it was, I don't know. I think it was like a really like mostly just how am I going to fill my time, and I like eating good bagels, and like there are no good bagels here. Let's just like do this. And it was never like I need a job sort of thing. It was just like I need to fill my time.
Yeah. You were just doing it for fun.
I was making like 8 bagels at a time, and I would just always have fresh bagels. And
then did you just start giving them to homies? And
I started giving, I think I posted a few pictures online, which sort of started things off on like Facebook or Instagram, whatever, where I think really the first step was a friend of mine opened up a cafe and was like, I want to serve your bagels at this cafe. I was like, cool. Like, let me figure out what that takes. And what that takes is getting a licensed commercial kitchen space, which takes getting insurance, which takes having an LLC, which takes having a business account at a bank, sort of all these things. So for really just like one homie being like, yo, I want to sell your bagels at the shop, just like set up all these dominoes for me to knock over. And so just like one by one, I was like, okay, next boss, final boss. Okay, here we are. And like I was renting out a commercial kitchen space at the Portland Mercado.
And was that like something you had like access to 24 hours, or did you only have
that was like
time with it?
Rental by the hour.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Which felt super tough. I mean, I think it was maybe only like $15 an hour. But then you're also like paying for storage, and
you got a bunch of other people using
like
this space.
Yeah. There was a bunch of people who were like in there a lot of the time making tamales, and all the food carts at the Mercado used that commercial kitchen space. So it was like, finding the times when people weren't in there, and also like needing to deliver fresh bagels in the morning.
Yeah.
So you're like, I was in there like 4 a.m, 5 a.m, trying to work around this like giant family making tamales. And like, just like, do you need the steam kettle? All right. Like, I need the steam kettle. Like, can I use these ovens? All right. You use those ovens. And like, it was sort of split up in like 2 sides, but a lot of it just sort of overlapped. And, so it was, I mean, even just like, what am I doing paying $15 an hour? Like, that's like $50, and like, how many bagels am I making? And like, I'm selling them for whatever, like a $1 a piece to this cafe, and I have to drive them there. Like, this is like so silly. Just like really didn't pencil out, but it was enough where it was like sort of just like paying for itself, which was all that I cared for at the time. I was experimenting a lot with just like the ingredients, and just having fun with it for sure. But it wasn't, I think there was like an inkling of like, okay, I could like maybe turn this into something. I certainly don't have any other like revenue stream going on right now. But from there it was all, I had a friend who worked at Townsend Teas. And so he got me in at all the Townsends, doing deliveries there. A few other cafes sort of heard about me along the line. Sort of like pieced it together. And like, friends who, I would just post like, okay, I'm delivering this day. Like, who wants some?
Mm-hmm.
And I would just drive all over town, in my 1982 diesel Mercedes.
Hell yeah.
Just like, okay, I got your half dozen here. Like, just like taking cash from homies and like meeting people in parking lots and like, yeah, people being like, man, I remember when I had to like meet my drug dealer at a parking lot. Now I just like go to the dispo, but I got to meet my bagel guy in the parking lot. Like, this is fucking shit is weird in Portland.
Take 6 pumpernickel and a dime bag.
Yeah.
Did you, by that time, was the recipe pretty like perfected and dialed in? And like, how different was it from what you had learned in that, like in that magazine?
Yeah. Things had changed a little bit, you know, just in the nature of doubling, tripling, quadrupling a recipe.
Yeah.
Shit's just like gonna get weird if you try to do sort of the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But all the constituent parts were there already. I mean, it was just like a very simple like flour, water, salt, yeast, barley malt recipe.
Okay.
So I was like, cool, like this is all you need. Like you don't need to do an egg wash and you don't need to add a bunch of like milk and butter or like whatever like people are doing. And it's also vegan, which is cool.
Yeah.
But just like let the dough sort of like speak for itself and like just like, yeah, you don't need any other like enrichments beyond that. So it was, yeah, it certainly changed along the way. And there was stuff I didn't necessarily like about the ratios or, you know, more along the lines of the process of like actually making the bagels that I'd outsourced a little bit more and was like checking out YouTube videos of like how to roll bagels and like learning about dough fermentation and you know, how do you like get more rich flavor in just these like 5 ingredients, you know?
Yeah.
Like how long do the bagels need to sit out? Like how long can they sit in the fridge? How long should I be boiling them for? Like how long for baking? And so, yeah, there was a lot more on that side that I was experimenting with.
Is boiling the most popular way to make bagels? Like how many like major ways are there to?
Yeah. I mean, it's the like standard way. You'll get a lot of people, and myself included, if it's not boiled, it's not a bagel.
Okay.
Sort of thing.
All right.
I think a lot of the mass produced bagels, they do like a combo steam bake situation.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think you got to boil it. You boil it and then bake it. That's like a common misconception. People are like, how long do you boil it for? And it's like, well, we boil it for this long, but then we bake it. And they're like, whoa, you bake it? Like, you know.
So from raw dough to the boiler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you're topping them with whatever seeds you want to put on there, onion, garlic, and then they go in the oven.
Is you got like 8 different kinds of bagels?
That's
regularly?
It. Only 8.
Is that what you got?
There's only 8 different kinds.
Like
we have 9.
And the pumpernickel
that's all you're allowed to make?
The only one that's like a different dough altogether?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other ones are just like, it's just the toppings.
The different toppings.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. And yeah, I feel like we're going to die on that hill of like, fuck no cinnamon raisin, like hell no blueberry, like absolutely not. Like cinnamon toast, like French toast bagels,
It's
like,
savory
that's not a bagel.
bagels or nothing.
Yeah. Blueberry's a muffin. I don't know. Cinnamon raisin, yeah, I can sort of get behind, but I don't know if we'll ever make them. Egg bagels is another one that I'm into the egg bagels, but at the same time, it's just like, okay, like are the vegans gonna freak out if like a plain bagel is touching an egg bagel, or like is the water that we're boiling them in still vegan? Or I don't know. It's just like easier to be like, okay, they're all vegan, like put whatever you want on them.
Dude, yeah. I think that your bagels have so much flavor that it's incredible. Like sometimes I just go there and I just get a bagel with butter just because I wanna taste the bagel, you know?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, when we first opened the brick and mortar, that was like a ritual thing where we would, before opening, and it was like a little utilitarian, like let's just make sure we get at least a few calories in us before the rush comes in. But we would like break bagel and like, like pop a fresh bagel off of the tray and like break it and just, nothing on it. Just like, all right, here we go. Like, cool, they taste good again today.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Let's sell them.
So were you just kind of like at a point where it seemed like a no-brainer for you to be able to open up a brick and mortar? Like you had enough steady business at that time that you knew you would have customers from the jump?
It was a little bit of a stretch. We were doing, I had brought on my buddy Peter Herto at that point, who's co-owner of the shop now. So we had a little bit more firepower of like, okay, we can like be making twice as much, twice as fast, and like 2 cars delivering and
still supplying to like outside sources.
Yep.
Do you still do that?
We don't. We stopped when we opened up the brick and mortar.
And that's that's a good thing,
come
right?
To us. Yeah.
Like that you don't have to do that type of stuff to get by.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I get excited when I see on the Instagram that bagels are sold out. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah. You guys need to get there earlier if you want these fucking bagels or if you want a selection.
Yeah. It was pretty much immediately like, oh, we don't have the capacity to make for anybody else. Like we're selling as much as we can make out of this one shop. And that was the thing. The first shop up in St. John's was tiny. It was like 300 square feet.
Okay. I didn't know there was one before the old local celebrity crashed.
Yeah. Totally. Damn. Crashed and burned. So the first one was up in St. John's in 2017. We opened up. And it felt like the natural progression of like the way things were going to go. It was like a little bit of like shit or get off the pot sort of thing of like, okay, we got 2 people doing it now. How are we going to make a living for 2 of us? Really just like need to open up a brick and mortar and see what happens. But like the upshot of a 300 square foot space is like pretty low relative overhead and like pretty low risk as far as, if this thing crashes and burns and we've like gone way over our skis, like it's all right. We can back out of this lease. Like it's not, it's not an insane price. Like we don't have to sell that many bagels. We don't need to employ anybody. It can just be the 2 of us. We can work 5 days a week and cover this lease and like, it'll be fine. And that was like where we started basically. It was just like, all right, like let's go like 50-50. We're just going to like do this. We built it mostly all out ourselves with the help from my buddy Luke, great drummer in town as well, Luke Hoffman. But he's a contractor and, we sort of just managed the whole build out and got our own subs. And we were like standing in line at BDS, just like, please look at our plans that we made on Adobe Photoshop. They were like, you guys have no idea what you're doing. Like, just get out of my face. But it was like, from the get go, we were like, oh, this is a thing. Like we sold out in maybe 45 minutes on day one. And
was it just you 2 when you started that day?
Me and him and his wife, Melanie.
Okay.
And like, dude, we made the bagels. We're like feeling really good about ourselves. We're like, all right, like 7:30 open, like let's do this. And Melanie was like, okay, like should we just like talk for a second about how to make the bagels? Because we had like a menu at that point. We were like, okay, like we had some bagel sandwiches and like bagel with schmear, and it was just like, okay, like should we talk about like how to write tickets or like what we're gonna do, like how we like cut the bagels and wrap them, and like we're just like nobody's gonna come in, like it'll be fine, like we'll just like figure it out on the fly.
Like, and then just a rush
from like immediately just like line out the door, and we're like, oh shit, like, and we had maybe put on, I feel like we put on like Nirvana Unplugged and like didn't have time to change it, so it was just like playing all day just like playing on loop. And but just sold out super quick. Day 2 was like we had made maybe some more bagels. We have a 2-day process, so it took us like a couple days to catch up to it, but by day 3 we had made like basically the max amount that we could and like sold out in a couple hours, few hours.
Oh, that's amazing.
Just like, oh shit. Okay. Like this could be a thing. So yeah, day 2, we hired somebody, this woman, Marley, that I was living with at the time, Luke's wife. Yeah, it was just sort of like all in the family at that point of like, okay, like there are 4 of us. And then, yeah, maybe a couple weeks later, we made a 5th hire. And like, yeah, but it went very quickly from like, okay, it'll just be Peter and I like covering this, and maybe we'll make a little living for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many,
our space is too small.
How many people work there now?
There's 10 of us now.
That's amazing.
So yeah. And there was a year right before COVID when we had both shops going. So that was, when we were like maybe the most employed.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, 15 or 16 people. But
do you remember like a ballpark number of like when you opened the brick and like the current location, like how many bagels you had prepared that day? Versus like where it's at today? Like if you could even ballpark it, like
the current space that we have right now.
Yeah.
Man, I can't right now. I feel like it was probably, I feel like we're probably making a few times more than we made that first day, I would guess. I mean, depending on the day too. But, even on shop number 2, we were like, all right, like hopefully people know we're down here. Like we don't really do advertising at all. It's just like very much word of mouth. And, we had an online following at that point and like had a lot of followers at the St. John's shop. But St. John's is so insulated where like the people who are up there like are never going to drive down Greeley to our new shop, and like anybody who lives outside of St. John's doesn't know about us because like we're just like this little like best kept secret, like right on like the main drag on Lombard. But that Portland Monthly did a story about us, which I feel like helped just like get the word out for sure. I'm just like, okay, people are gonna find out about us, but it was a slow start for sure. It wasn't like this like explosion in the same way St. John's was, just because I think that we had already had like the following up there, and like it took we did great, but it wasn't like the oh shit. And it was probably more of like a mental thing for us too. Like we had already like had that experience, so like nothing could be as crazy as like the first day having no idea what we're doing, being like, how should we do we put tape on the outside of the wrap? Like what should we do? Like, should we cut them in half? Like
It's pretty cool, like the amount that you seem to sell out these days, especially the location. You're not really in like a walkable neighborhood necessarily. You're kind of like tucked away in this industrial area with a few other like brick and mortars around you. So that means that like people do maybe like go out of their way to come to Bernstein Bagels, unless they are like me who works around the corner, or maybe these folks that live in like the Mississippi neighborhood. But I imagine you do have like quite a few people that are, maybe biking from Lake Oswego, like our friend Chris Frank, to come get bagels.
Dude, absolutely. Yeah. There's a fair bit of that.
He'll like text me sometimes at like 7 a.m. He's like, I'm going to Bernstein. So you want to meet me there? I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm not awake right now. What are you doing?
Just like, I've already biked 30 miles. We get people from, I mean, it's a weird industrial location, but it's also very central. I mean, we're, 10 minutes from pretty much everywhere in Portland.
Absolutely.
Depending on the time of day, and we're right on the river. So, people on the west side can just pop over. We still get a lot of people from St. John's who are like, miss you, like I haven't been to the new shop. I still get people who are like, this is my first time in the new shop. Like today somebody came in and was like, this person I met last night out at drinks was like, wait, you're Bernstein? Like you used to make my bagels up in St. John's. Like,
and then you left us.
Like this, you were the reason I moved to St. John's. Like, what the fuck?
Hell yeah.
Wait, you're from the East. Oh yeah, you're the Jew from Vermont, right? Like we talked back then. I was like, that was like 8 years ago. And like, then she came into the shop today. I was like, oh, cool. Like this is great. Like people are still finding out that like we have a second location, and where it is, and and still a lot of new people who are just like, oh, I just heard about you guys, I'm psyched, I love bagels.
Hell
And
yeah.
like I'm just like psyched to be here. And people from all over, which is great. And we get like some like Seattle tourists and stuff who are just like, I had to come and like try your bagels.
Fuck yeah,
Like,
that's
fucking
awesome.
Seattle,
Dude.
like what's up?
Hell yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think you're a flagship of the city. You know.
Oh man, thank you. That's sweet. Oh, yeah.
What is your favorite part about making bagels? Like as far as the actual process.
Oh man, the actual process. I think rolling bagels is just super meditative and sort of a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's got a tempo to it. It's it's using my hands, which I feel like I just like have sort of nervous hands that have to be doing something. So it's like, it's good to just like keep them busy.
Yeah.
That quest for like the perfect bagel, you're just like, it when it hits the table, you're just like, that was it. Like that's the one. That's the perfect form. And most of them are not that, but every once in a while you're like, oh my God, it's a perfect circle. It's like perfectly symmetrical.
Is that also your favorite thing to teach people that are new?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to teach people that. I think it's such a learned thing. And even like, I feel like people's hands change, like the physical like skin on their hands or something. I don't know. Like you start teaching people and the dough is so stiff and they're like, I can't like work it. The seams don't like close or connect. And so we first teach people, we're like, okay, get your fingers a little wet with like this water, and then it'll like sort of stick to the dough and you can move it around a little bit more. But inevitably people get away from that because they don't need to, like whatever it is that like, okay, like you and the bagel are one now, and you can just you can just like do this thing. But I feel like it's a personal quest in a lot of ways for people. You just like, you can like teach them the basics, and then it's just like, okay, like go roll 1,000 bagels, and like I'll like try to coax you along the way, like, okay, a little smaller, a little bigger, like like let's get that seam a little tighter. I don't know. It's is it my favorite thing to teach people? I mean, I think it's like the most ongoing sort of like challenge that people face.
It must be exciting to see someone like get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you're like, you're fucking doing it,
you
dude.
did it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And we're super fortunate. Like our most recent hire has been there for a year and a half, almost 2 years at this point.
Okay.
And we have people who've been there for 7 years, 7.5
Yeah,
years. So like people stick around, which is amazing. Because like it's a bummer to teach somebody something and like put a lot of time in and then just like have them bounce 3 months later or something. We're just like, oh, like you were just like getting the hang of this thing. And so I think people like get through whatever like initial frustrations they have with it and like push through the other side, and like also find the beauty of like, oh man, just like hanging out rolling is fucking amazing. And, like like watching the process from like boiling the bagels to baking to like putting them in the baskets to making the sandwiches out of them. And that's another thing, like a lot of shops in town, I think I actually don't know about, there's a new one that maybe makes the bagels in-house, but every other one except for us makes them in-house, as opposed to like a separate commissary kitchen where they're like bring them over via van or something. Okay. So all the employees just like have very hands-on time with the dough, and it's
Yeah.
like they're making the bagels themselves, and like have that attachment to the process and the product in the way that, like, you know, if you're just like getting a bunch of bagels dropped off and then you have to be like the sandwich artist for the day.
Yeah.
Or like, it's just like hanging out making sandwiches all day is like fine, but you don't like have that same connection of like, oh hell yeah, like I rolled those bagels and then like and then 2 days later I boiled those
Yeah.
bagels and like watched them get baked. And yeah, so it's cool. It's lovely to see. Like, yeah, people have really taken to it. So.
Yeah, it's cool that you've found a way to keep people around too. Like in my notes, something I noted is the employee morale and just like the maybe the fun family environment that you seem to have cultivated. It's like something I always really admire when I go in there to grab a bagel. Like it always seems like people are having a pretty good time behind the counter. Like there's a lot of I don't know, I just catch like a lot of conversation happening between people, like in the best of ways back there. And like, yeah, it just seems like you've created a really cool environment there. You know, like what do you think has attributed to that? Like how have you been able to cultivate something like that? Because obviously, like, you know, people show up to work sometimes when they're going through heavy shit and maybe they're not in like a great mood, but just don't really like see that reflected, you know? It feels like it's more of like a reflection of my encounters with you, which has usually been like pretty sweet and great.
Fuck yeah. Oh man, I'm so glad that like, yeah, translates across the counter too.
Yeah.
Because I do really think that, yeah, folks are genuinely having a good time, and like we are like, I'm not going to be like, we're a big happy family. It's like, there's some dynamics there. But you know, like we've like tried to create like a real fucking like no bullshit, no drama work environment. And like, you know, you don't have to take your work home with you. And like, you know, we're all just like hanging out, listening to music and, you know, catching up on what everybody did the weekend before, the night before. And like, there's, you know, these long-term relationships that we have at this point, because people aren't leaving. But, you know, I think it's like basic shit. It's like pay people well, give them a flexible schedule where, you know, it's like consistent every week, but then if they want to like go out of town or whatever, like we've always kept a pretty staunch policy of like, whenever you want to go out of town, it's cool. Like Peter and I are there to cover. For the most part, we've always had like just enough employees to cover all the shifts. And then when like somebody goes out of town or is sick, like Peter and I are around to step in. And we're like always there helping out and like trying to relieve any sort of stress that we can. So I think that, you know, like let people fucking have lives and pay them enough to be able to afford those lives. One of the more, about a year and a half ago, we got rid of tips. Which, you know, was like a conversation with the whole staff for sure, you know, to just like make sure everybody was cool with it. But to just like give them a consistent and high salary, you know, our consistent wage.
Just to raise like the base price of all items.
Just put it on the menu,
and
then great. Like we'd like nearly doubled everybody's hourly wage. We're like, okay, like you know, you guys can like are guaranteed like this is what your time is worth, and like not like this is what your time is worth if we're busy, or like, you know, like oh shit, it snowed, your time isn't worth anything. Sorry, or like,
your time is worth if the people do choose to tip a decent amount. And like, I like that you have removed that equation. Like, it's nice that I don't have to even. I don't know. I come from like food service background, so I feel like I'm inclined to tip well. Because I know what those tips mean to the people.
Totally.
But I love like that it's removed from me even having to think about it, and like I just pay whatever that price was, and now I know that like it's covering like the costs you needed to cover, but also like to make it so that the people that are stoked on working there are like continue to be, because it's also like helping them pay their bills, and they don't have to like wonder like, did this asshole, does he never tips? Like,
oh yeah,
you know. I think it's great.
Yeah. What the fuck, Mark?
Yeah. Mark. Piece of shit.
Yeah. And like, you know, you don't have to like give somebody shitty service because, you know, they're an asshole or like, you know, whatever. It's just like, okay, like, you know, everybody's time is accounted for. And like, everybody, you know, we can just like, it's just like, yeah, it takes all the like fucking psychodrama of tipping out of it, or like the like tip screen. And like inevitably, like most people now are like, oh, like I didn't see a tip screen. And I'm like, oh, like we don't, it's all built into the price. Like shit, we should raise our prices. Like, but yeah, I working at a bar in Ohio, you're getting paid $2.15 an hour or whatever, and like most paychecks were negative paychecks because I had the a bar tab going.
Yeah,
and, like, you know, I would like it's just like crazy like that setup, you know, as well as the like inherently racist background of tipping in America. And like, yeah, coming from the railroads and like, yeah, you know, being able to pay porters poverty wage and like expecting that other people will like fill that void. And it's like, you're the fucking employer. Like, just like pay a living wage, which like, you know, in 2025, you know, unless you're a lawyer or something, it's very hard to do, but we're trying.
Hey, thank God you're not using eggs, huh?
Oh, we sell a lot of eggs, but yeah. Yeah, man. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like creating that environment, I think, is really important. And it's always been a very employee first mentality. Like it's never been the customer's always right.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, it's never been like, oh, like your music is bad to listen to hang out and listen to, you know, listen to while eating bagels, like change your shitty music. It's just like, hell yeah, like put on whatever you want. Like, yeah, we're an album shop. So we're like only listening to albums all the way through.
No
like,
playlists.
okay, like next album up, like who wants to pick it? And, you know, it's like we try to keep it like as democratic as we can. And like, I don't know, or like coming up with stupid schmear names.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
or
puns
like, for the fucking schmear. Like,
it's just like, okay, like who's got an idea for a schmear? Like, okay, who's got a stupid name? Like, let's, It's just like a fun thing we hang out and do every Monday. It's just like make up pun names all day.
That must be like a nice way for like people to get to explore creativity too. The like how the new schmear,
totally
the schmear of the week, is going to be created.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, you know, it's never like it's your turn, but it's like, okay, if you're feeling inspired, like let's do it. Like let's do whatever it is, man. Like a kimchi schmear, like cool.
Yeah. Do you like that as like a weekly challenge too, to like not get too comfortable in the regular menu, to be like, yeah, we should have something that we're working towards each week? Or...
Yeah. It just like adds some variability. I think sometimes I'm like, this is an unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
Like everything could just be like so smooth.
You can be successful without it, obviously.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, there are so many regulars too that are like, what's the schmear of the week? Like, I gotta know. And like, what's the stupid pun name that they came up with this time? And like, oh, it's Freako Year Friday? Like, that's stupid as fuck, guys. Like, I don't know, like, whatever.
What do you think is the key to making a good schmear? Because I feel like your guys' are pretty, like, undeniable. The Mama Lil's one is, like...
Oh, yeah.
That's, like... I don't know. I don't want to say far and above my favorite one, but I'm such a, like, Mama Lil's fan that's, like, kind of my go-to, but...
Yeah, that was a day
chiver,
one.
You know, is...
The Holy Chiver,
Also very... very solid, and I'm like always down to try like whatever the weekly new one is. But yeah, I definitely like lean into the Mama Lil's pretty hard, and I'm usually like somebody that's probably like taking some off at most places. Like I'm like, I'll go into like a lot of bagel places and be like, can you just do like a real light amount?
Okay,
but I don't say that ever at your shop.
That's
think
crazy
because
because
I
we
like
go so heavy.
you go very heavy, and sometimes I'll like take maybe like a little bit off, but like I'm like I kind of go all in on it because I think it's so good. You
Yeah.
know?
A lot of people are like, a lot of shops are really fucking trifling on their schmear game and like using just like real bad cream cheese bases.
Okay.
And like, yeah, there's some, I've really like, I grew up in a Philly household and it was just like always Philadelphia cream cheese. And that's what we use for our base. But like, yeah, a lot of places will just get like the trashiest cream cheese. And I'm like, oh, like I'm a cream cheese aficionado at this point. Like it's like making or breaking this bagel.
And you're just like, and then it's like dialing in just like the distribution of the different components to like make it balanced.
Yeah. I think we have sort of a bag at this point of 8 years of doing this where we have like some classics that make appearances and, reappearances and all that. But it's like, just making sure you're putting enough in there. And, I don't know, like if you're doing like roasted vegetables, you're roasting them long enough so that the schmear isn't like all watery or, or like if you're using fruit, like fruit's tough, man. Like what are you going to do to like deal with that, like the juiciness and like not get just like a real sloppy strawberry schmear, whatever it is. So spending the time on it, but then, also just, sort of like, I don't know, lowest common denominator too. Just like, all right, like this and this, cool. Like let's smash them together. Like rosemary and onion, boom, like it's done.
Yeah.
Rosemary's onion. Perfect. Or I don't know. Beets and parsley. Cool. Beetle juice. All right, we got it. Nailed it.
It's not a schmear unless it has a pun.
Oh yeah. No. And sometimes it like starts with a pun and then it's like, okay, what's in that?
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. You work backwards.
Yeah.
Really forcing different styles of creativity.
Yeah.
Do you feel like is there any parallel creatively to like what you've done in music when you're making bagels or like coming up with concepts? Does that occupy the same space of your brain at all, or does that feel like incredibly different?
Feels pretty different. And I don't know if that's proper or if they should be, sort of in the same realm.
I don't know. We'd have to like find another guy that like plays jazz music and has a bagel shop, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, physically it's like sort of similar, you're like standing up at the rolling bar, you're like keeping your hands going. There's, you're keeping your fingers super active and, there's that aspect to it. I think like I sort of have like an improviser's ethos to most of my life, whether it's like good for me or not, or like good for the people around me or not. So I do think in that regard, like both my music and making bagels was like at first very like sort of like improvisatory, like even just like taking it up was just like so out of left field.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, like you're just like gonna like make bagels. You're gonna watch a couple of YouTube videos and like make bagels now, like just jazzing up your life.
Yeah.
So there, in that regard, I would say like just the fact that I got here at all is like, it's just like sort of the improvisational nature of just like how I approach living.
Yeah.
And which is great that I found somebody like Peter, who's I think much more just like a production guy, and he like comes from a video production background and like also an amazing musician, but like does studio albums and like will get you in for like a day at the studio and like has parts or like has ideas and and in that way he's we've been able to like create like structures for the shop and like the production of the bagels in like a literal production sense,
For sure.
Whereas like I'm like cool, like water can be any temperature, and like, like it'll be fine. Like I'll work this out. I'll make it work. And then it's like, okay, like that's cool, but like you can't scale that up to 10 employees. Like you can't have 10 people like jazzing their bagels.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool that you have like found that counterpart, because like while we can appreciate your skills for improving, like nobody gives a fuck if you can't like make consistent food, right? Like
Right.
That's why people are showing up. That's why the regulars, that's why I'm showing up all the time. Like it's because like I know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Like I've trusted in the process.
Yeah.
and it's like, it seems to me to be like very consistent. Like I don't think I've ever gotten like something from Bernstein Bagels and been like, oh, it just like really didn't hit today. Like I feel like,
We got pretty high standards for sure.
So that's cool that you've like found a way to produce consistently.
Yeah.
Not just efficiently.
Sweet. Yeah.
Which is also like the efficiency you have like, seems like you guys are nailing too by not getting distracted by making bullshit coffee orders. You're just like, no, we have drip coffee here.
Yeah.
And like, if you need a specialty coffee, this isn't like the spot for that.
Yeah.
But we have Bangin' Bagels.
Khalisa's right down the street.
We
like,
got drip
there,
coffee over there. And like, I like that like makes sense to me to not get lost in like the things that are not bagels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very much by design, a little bit the nature of the St. John's shop. And when we opened up on Russell Street, we were like, oh, we have enough space for a coffee bar. And Nosa Familia, bless them, were like, you do not want to figure out how to make espresso. You do not want to learn this.
Yeah.
But from the beginning, I was like, man, no, I want it to be like a no bullshit New York shop that's like tiny hole in the wall, minimal signage, drip coffee. Our drip coffee is really good, but like shitty drip coffee.
No frills.
Like 4 options that you can get on your bagel, and like scallop anybody who wants it toasted, and
Am I not supposed to get my bagel toasted?
You're fine, man. Whatever. I've given up.
I feel like next time I just like I like shouldn't get it toasted.
You should try it not toasted. Yeah.
Like on anything that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's the secret sauce.
All
I don't know. You get to really enjoy the full like crumb and the crust of the bagel when it's not tainted by a second layer of toasting. And yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, I guess that's how I get them if I'm getting them to go and I'm not getting anything on them. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Right. But then like I don't know, maybe
when I'm grabbing a bag of bagels, like I don't get them toasted.
Right. Yeah. But like, day olds, and, sitting in your fridge, you probably want to toast them maybe. But yeah, fresh. I mean, we got, like I say, we make them all in house. So it's like the freshest bagels you're going to get in Portland. But
what is your go-to order? Like, what are you eating regularly at your own shop?
Today I had a salt bagel, Mama Lil Schmear avocado.
Oh, okay.
Just great.
All right.
That's a little bit of like the standard go-to. Mama Lil's, I'm just like a freak for that too.
And just throwing avocado on like any
pop a little
schmear.
avocado. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
I'm gonna rock with
added
that next
boost.
time.
But it's summer. We have the tomatoes in now. We wait until summer, I guess. Well, late summer because we just got them in. But we have a farm that supplies us with local tomatoes. So we don't fuck around with crappy like winter tomatoes or anything like that. Like greenhouse tomatoes, Mexican tomatoes, like California, whatever. Like we don't want them. So right now it's like the beautiful like
I appreciate
peak
that.
Oregon tomatoes. So that on with anything on a bagel, it's just like salt and pepper. Yeah, that's definitely like this time of year. It's usually my go-to if I'm not driving around in my car with like tomato dripping all over me. I was like, I gotta get to the pod, just like give me something I can smash into my mouth.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'll do anything. I think our menu is small enough that it's just like very well curated, and there's not a lot of filler on there.
Yeah, no. I think I've tried a majority of the things. I've not had the whitefish yet, which I feel like I should.
Yeah, it's like tuna adjacent.
Yeah. I feel like if I was going to do like a tuna boy for Bernstein Bagels, it would be the whitefish.
Okay.
I feel like that would be enough, like to qualify it.
Yeah, we'll
Like-
give it a try and like see where it hits you
Okay.
as far as Tuna Boy. I mean, I would love to really just like get your Dan Cable deep in his like brain palace or whatever, like what the ideal like tuna on the top of the mountain.
I think it's, keeping it pretty simple, especially like knowing that if it's going on a bagel
Yeah,
and like that much doesn't need to be added to it other than,
Yeah.
get some capers in there.
gotta have some capers.
Gotta have some capers.
non Pirelli. It's more French.
I feel like it can, probably paired pretty well with that salt bagel.
Yeah, or pumpernickel.
That'd be cool.
Dude, seafood and pumpernickel. It's just like, yeah.
That's a good band name, or like album name rather. Maybe not band name, but like album name. I like it for album or like track title. Seafood and pumpernickel.
Seafood and pumpernickel. That's
Pretty
it.
great.
Yeah. Are you going like tuna melt or you're
We can. It's
Yeah.
not usually my go-to preference, but
when
people
you're like
have changed my
picturing
mind.
the ideal, like it's
I'm
you're
thinking like
never
fresh
like,
tuna sandwich.
Yeah,
like when I think
yeah.
about a tuna sandwich, I'm thinking about something refreshing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Lemon zest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
But my mind has been open the other way that tuna melts can be good, because I think I was like very much like, I don't know, man, you start heating tuna up, it starts tasting a little bit different. But like then I had like the tuna melt from Sandwich and I was like, oh fuck, this rules.
Oh shit.
And
yeah.
or like even the tuna melt at Grand Central Bakery.
Okay.
Like, I think is like a great sandwich.
Yeah.
The fresh tuna and the melt.
Damn.
Both great.
Okay.
But yeah, I've had I would say a majority of the things on the menu at Bernstein Bagels.
Okay.
But I'm usually walking in there getting one of those Peters on garlic. That's kind of like my go-to move.
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
Or
Have you
just-
tried the pork roll? You
No.
had the
I had
Seattle dog.
The Seattle dog.
That's right. Yeah,
that was lights out. I like,
That's so
yeah,
stupid.
that was pretty great. I'm just kind of like, that's kind of where I'm at with your spot though, dude. Like I just want to try shit. Like I'm down to try shit.
Yeah.
I trust enough in like how good the bagels are to just be like, all right, I'll fucking try your Seattle dog. If whoever's at the counter wants to try to convince me that it's time to try something new that day,
Yeah.
I'm usually in.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
yeah, big fan, dude. Big fan.
Man,
Like
thank you.
I'm
This
like
is- yeah.
I'm more acquainted with your music now than I had been, like the recorded music, and I big fan of that as
Sweet.
well. I just like I've spent so much time now being in this neighborhood that I just like feel so lucky that Bernstein Bagels is like so close. And like I remember having a conversation with you one time, as for maybe you could say that there was a hole obviously like in the bagel scene here, but you also told me that you think that the best bagel shop is usually the one that's like in your neighborhood.
There you go. Yeah.
And I feel very lucky that in my work neighborhood I have your shop.
Yeah.
Because like I do think it's kind of superior to many others.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's gonna have an opinion. I appreciate the the best bagel's the one geographically closest to you at any given time. So
Yeah.
just go after it, get it, support your local shop. I mean, we're stoked to just be in our own little neighborhood, and like you say, not a ton going on, but people driving down interstate can just pop off and grab something, or people there's so many artist studios and spaces and recording studios and podcast studios in this neighborhood alone. So it's cool that we get a lot of that clientele too. Just like working in my space today, popping over for a bagel, whatever it is. So
It's sick. It's like my favorite bagel shop and favorite tattoo shop are just like across the
Yes.
street from each other.
yeah,
It's great.
I got my first tattoo there. That's great.
I've got like
Yeah.
my last 4 tattoos there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of committed over there now.
Nice. Yeah.
I have a dream of getting like an open face Locks bagel tattoo, and I
Oh,
feel like it has to happen there
damn.
while I'm like you know,
Just looking.
that was my order
looking
today.
at
I
it.
got a
Yeah,
lox
yeah.
bagel today. I was like, I feel like I have to go there before you and I have this conversation. It's like the only proper way for me to prep while I'm prepping for this, eating my bagel, you know.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Dude, hell yeah.
Now that you have like the shop, I know that you didn't, you know, open up or start making bagels because you were like some bagel shop connoisseur necessarily, but like, are there places that you have found around the country in your travels that you're like, this spot, if you are ever in or around near this place, this is like a must hit spot? Or like, have you been to a lot of those new, like old school New York spots that seem to have like inspired so many other people to try to open up bagel shops?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think about that a lot. You know, we've been on a couple like big national lists of like, these are like the top 50 bagels outside of New York or whatever. And I like look at all those spots. I'm like, man, like I don't fucking travel enough. Like I want to, like I could like go to Seattle and do a whole bagel tour up there. I've tried a couple times and it's always like sold out. And I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I'm too fucking late. Like, hell yeah, you're sold out. That's great. Or like, I need to like, go try these LA bagels that are popping off.
Yeah.
And, honestly, have not been able to try, excuse me, all that many. They're definitely like, New York ones that, I didn't necessarily grow up eating. I didn't go to New York all that often.
Yeah.
But on tour, I would always have to stop at Bergen Street Bagels.
Okay.
That was like the really delicious one that, I was in my buddy's neighborhood, but I was also just like, this is it. But I mean, I think there's a lot of shitty bagels in New York too. Like I'm going to say it. Like,
I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the philosophy or like the theory that like you can only get a good bagel in New York, or like every bagel in New York is like a good,
And
classic,
they
delicious,
attribute that to the
amazing
water,
bagel.
right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And like people were like, "How are you getting the water? Like, what is it? The water?
You importing
like,
the water?"
Are you importing?" For a while, it was like, "Yeah, we'll just tell people we have like a pipe going from New York underground and like popping up in the Willamette for us." And
you get a little bit of that Subway juice in there.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously opened up a place and started making bagels because there was a hole. So I won't ask you to like put on for another bagel shop. But now that you are like a restaurant owner in the city, are there any food spots that is like what are your go-to food spots in Portland?
I mean, I love pizza. I'm a big Scotty's Pizza and Gracie's Pizza. Gracie's, you know
what
the
is
spot?
that about?
It's up in St. John's.
You know what? I think my buddy Vin, who has that Picone's.
Oh, okay. Dude, Picone's
truck.
is dope.
Dude, that place is great. I think he also maybe mentioned Gracie's.
Okay.
Yeah.
It started out as a truck. He had an oven inside of a truck. It was just like ripping brick oven pizzas. And then moved to a spot sort of down the street from where he is now in St. John's. But we were sort of coming up together.
Okay. I do fuck with Scotty's though.
Yeah.
That pizza's great.
Yeah. It's fucking solid.
A pizza rec for Portland is pretty great because I do think that we have like a pretty strong pizza game here.
Yeah.
Like there's a handful of places that I would be stoked to have a slice from.
Yeah.
Here. And Scotty's is definitely up there amongst that crowd, you know?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean I live up in St. John's, so yeah, definitely that Picone spot is crushing.
Yeah.
There's a new food cart pod sort of right on the end of Fessenden and Lombard, or it's called St. Louis and Lombard. But there's a really delicious Mediterranean spot that has like killer shawarma in there. Man, I mean, there's just so many fucking good restaurants. I ate a Yaowarat sort of recently.
Yeah.
That was just like mind blowing.
The spot in Montebello?
Yeah.
Yeah. That place bangs for sure.
Yeah.
Into it.
Yeah. It goes very, very hard. But
well, how do you feel about it? Like I feel like we talked a lot. We covered a lot of music, a lot of bagels. You feel good?
Man, I mean, I'm feeling pretty solid about the ground we covered.
Do you feel
I'm
like
trying to think of,
there's we have 7 minutes left on this SD card? Do you feel like there's something we missed
damn,
that you feel like you need to mention?
damn, shit, I don't know.
All right, that's a good. I think that's good. You don't need to. I just want to make sure that there's like if there's anything you need to close out with, a closing statement or something.
No, I mean, I have a mic in my face, and I should probably say, there's a fight for this ballot measure, preschool for all, that we passed in Multnomah County, that we did a lot of help on at the bagel shop. At the time, trying to get it on the ballot. We were doing signature signups outside, and we were like putting preschool for all on all of our sandwiches and coffee cups, and we're just like really going for it. Feels like a really important, it's like basically a very small wealth tax to get preschool for all 3 and 4 year olds in the county, and also open up a bunch of preschools and pay fair living wages to the preschool teachers there. And it passed with almost a 2-to-1 margin, but there's been a lot of fuck shit recently with the wealthy people in town who don't want to pay the wealth tax. A lot of misinformation going around, and the governor is trying to come in and close it down, and it feels like a wildly undemocratic thing to be doing, to like meddle in this county measure that was like passed so widely. So I would just tell your Portland and Multnomah County listeners to check up on it, write your council people, write the governor, and just like fight for this, because it feels like a really important thing to make Portland a affordable place for people to live and like raise families and like have jobs like food service jobs at a bagel shop where they can still work and like have their kid in preschool and not be paying fucking $20,000 a year for it, and like making the decision of like, oh, like it makes more sense to just like stay home than like work at my favorite job, or like get out of the house, or or like be an artist in town, or like whatever it is. There's just been too much of that taken away from us. So I would just say to check up on that, and whatever we can do to make sure that stays going forward, and that vision gets fleshed out.
It kind of feels like there's a lot of undemocratic shit happening.
Yes.
And a lot of like dark shit in general. So I think I'm like extra grateful to like have people like you and others that are like making art and making good food, and you and doing participating in both of those things. It's pretty sick,
Thank you.
But I think it is like nice to have like those, find some joy in your day, somehow, even during these like incredibly like dark times. And I feel like anytime I step into the shop, that's like a moment of joy usually, if I'm like getting a bagel to start the day, or getting to walk in there. And like I said, like the infectious environment of the morale being high in there, or seemingly, and like, I don't know, you told me that you're just closing up shop tomorrow, so that because somebody in the Bernstein Bagels family is getting married. And like to like shut down the shop because it just can't operate because everybody is going to be
at
there.
The wedding.
That I think that's like, that's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's an awesome thing. So
sweet.
Congratulations on like keeping something going for a long time, or just like having this like idea of, I'm going to learn how to make bagels today. And now you have like really cool establishment.
Dude. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. It's really, it runs off of people like you who are there every day and like, or there 5 days a week or whatever, like just like they're keeping up with us and they're, pushing us to keep it going. It's, very few like downer customers in there too.
Oh yeah.
It gets reflected back on us. So it's cool. But yeah, these are fucking dark times, man. It's definitely a bright spot. And at the same time, we're just like always talking dark political shit at the shop and like, trying to like keep some levity to it. But, it's fucking terrible. And it's, I don't know. Free Palestine, fuck Trump. I mean, yeah.
Amen.
I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. It's a long list.
We can do a whole,
insane,
that's the third episode.
That's the third episode. That's part 3 with Noah Bernstein. Dude, thank you so much for giving me so much of your time. I'm so stoked that like we finally got to do this.
Finally got to do it, man. Yeah.
Well worth the wait,
man.
But you are somebody that's been on my list of wanted guests for a long time. So
dude, I was
I'm
just
glad
hanging
to cross
out,
it off,
waiting for the call, getting that text. It's like, yo, open invite. It's like, yes, I've made it.
Yeah, buddy. Noah, we end every episode of the show with the guest saying the tagline for the show, which is "It's a program." It's the one time I will ask you to look into the camera here,
all right,
and deliver the "It's a program." However you want to deliver it. It's just the way my grandfather says program. He always says program for some reason. And it's just a goofy way that we end the show here.
I love it. So, I hope I'm not going to fuck it up.
I don't think so. I don't think that you can. You can take a second take at it if you need to, but I'm confident you can do it. We got 45 seconds.
I was practicing. So yeah. All right. Thanks for listening to Dan Cable Presents. It's a program. Noah Bernstein signing off. Peace.
It's Noah Bernstein, everybody. The links will be in the episode notes. We're going to play it out with Here to Stay off that Grammys record. Sweet. I feel like Here to Stay feels like a good way to sail things out. All the links will be in the episode notes so you can keep up with Noah's music, Grammys, Bernstein Bagels. That's the Jelly Jams. And we will catch you on the flip side, Portland, or wherever you are listening from. We did it.
Cheers. We did it. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That was so fun. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thank you.